Visit TRNCentral.com, your one-stop for news and all things talk radio. That's TRNCentral.com.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue. And when the band plays Hail to the Chief, ooh, they want the
It is the Savage Nation. I promised you, I just realized what I promised you, even though we're already on to dinner, something new already. I have been the godfather of criticizing liberal government for 15 years on the radio, working in the trenches, and as a result, the movement has grown, exponentially, yielding the overturn of the Kennedy lock, even on Massachusetts. You say, well, there's no direct link. You could say what you want; it doesn't matter. But much of the message of Brown, many of the speech particles came from things you've heard on this show for years, and you know it. That's okay. I'm not looking for any credit. I don't expect them to come and invite me to give me the key to Washington, nor would I accept it. But I learned from certain people. I'm going to go back. When I started in radio, there was a politician named Pete Wilson. He was very good. He was a very good governor. He was a moderate Republican, but he articulated best the danger and damage that illegal aliens were doing to the state. He was called every name under the sun for doing so, but he was absolutely right. Pat Buchanan, who I no longer communicate with because of his saluting of Nazism and Hitler in an offhanded way, that Hitler didn't really mean any harm. Hitler didn't have any designs in America. Hitler didn't want to go to war with America. If those nasty Israelis would only stop it, there'd be world peace. Nevertheless, Pat Buchanan, until he went off the rails and went back to his schoolyard bullying mentality and his normal biases, which we all have, but they become so naked and embarrassing that the only place left for him is MSNBC. Pat Buchanan was probably the best articulator of the culture wars, and I salute him for his early work. It's unfortunate what he became later on. But other than them, I've been carrying the torch ever since. I've been carrying the torch, really. And the so-called populist uprising that you're seeing is the result of my carrying the torch. And others in the media. I'm not alone, obviously. There are many, many intelligent people who see what's going on. But, now here's the but. You can't now rush down the road of everything Obama does is wrong because, look, the old joke, even a stopwatch is correct twice a day. I've said this before. Obama happens to be right in wanting to control the bankers. Never mind it's a populist notion. He's right. Taxing the banks is wrong. Let him tax Barney Frank and his friends' profits and Fannie and Freddie. Then I'll know that he's trying to be fair. But let's put taxation aside. We had a Glass-Steagall Act of 1933 that established the FDIC in the United States, which we all agree was wonderful. I remember when I was a little boy and I had my first bank account, I was one of these kids who actually had a paper route, worked in a luncheonette till midnight. I saved every nickel in Bankers Trust Company, and I used to love going there by bicycle and seeing my account when they had the, $2, $10. I felt like I was a rich man building my future. And then there was a strange thing added called interest, and I ran home and said, Dad, what's interest? He said, well, they give you money for holding your money. I said, why? How could they do that without losing money? I said, I thought that they just want to hold my money. He said, no, what they do is they take your money and they invest it, and they make money on it, and they give you some of that. I said, wow, what a great system. And it was a great system until Bill Clinton and Phil Gramm destroyed it in 1999. You don't understand that this bill that was passed way back in the 30s, the Glass-Steagall Act, was meant to protect the average little guy. And it allowed the Federal Reserve to regulate interest rates and savings accounts, which was later repealed. But mainly it prohibited a bank holding company from owning other financial companies. That was repealed in 1999 by the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, and it was signed by President Bill Clinton on November 12, 1999. So don't say it was Republicans and Democrats. Try to break out of that lock-step mentality and understand that money talks and democracy walks. Write it down. I said it first. When money talks, democracy walks. I don't care who's running it, Now, let's not go to the fact that we don't need regulation. We need it. Regulation is communism. Don't be a fool. Please stop being naive. Would you like to overturn the child labor laws? I mean, we could do that, too. We could bring children in from Haiti and maybe in rural India to work for you for 10 cents a day. Maybe that would also stimulate the economy. Let's get rid of the child labor laws next. After all, that's a law. That's a regulation. You don't need that. Get rid of the child labor laws. We don't need them. That's an evil socialist thing. Child labor laws now. I mean, you understand what I'm saying to you. It's rhetoric. The same way I've said rhetorical things that the morons in England took out of context. Unless you understand the context of what I just said, you can say Michael Savage said repeal the Child Labor Act. I didn't say that. Unless you're a fool or you want to continue the game that was initiated by Media Matters, funded by George Soros, who put Obama in power. Now, I want to talk about the McCain-Feingold legislation, because I'm actually on record with this. I have said before that there must be regulation of donations to political campaigns, and I stick by that as well. Many of you are brainwashed by the cigar-smoking, golf ball-hitting gentleman on radio in the morning who does a fairly good job, but you have to understand where he's coming from. This man is in favor of deregulation at all costs because he doesn't understand nuance. The reason he doesn't understand nuance is because he's gotten very far by talking in black and white terms. He doesn't even understand what he's saying half the time because he has no education to back up his rhetoric. I have studied things as a scholar. Scholarly work has led me to understand that if you study something in great detail, you come up with a slightly different opinion, and it's either this or that. In some cases, not in all. Some things are black and white. Okay? Child molestation is black and white. There's no nuance. Okay? But so let's not go there. Let's talk about regulation now for the minute. You say that we don't need any regulation of contributions to political campaigns. I say you're wrong. And now you're saying, well, the left is screaming that this just being overturned by the Supreme Court just yesterday means that, like the fanatics on MSNBC are screaming, this means corporations will elect the next president. Blah, blah, blah. Well, what these creatures on MSNBC don't understand is that who elected Obama? Where'd that $1 trillion come from? Who elected him? Where'd the money come from? It came from who? Where'd it come from? Didn't come from nowhere. It's because there was an unrestricted amount of money that could be poured in there. So it came in from who knows? Soros. People are speculating. Saudi Arabia, China. Nobody knows where Obama got the money from. This unknown guy from Chicago got $1 trillion in his campaign. So don't tell me the corporations are going to pick the next president. Yeah, what about the unions? And the unions can outpour $1 trillion if they have it into a campaign. It's not limited to corporations. The unions also can outpour $1 million here and $10 million there and $100 million there. So really, it's unrestricted in that regard. So if you're a leftist or a rightist, you say, well, it's great, now we can donate. No, but I don't say it's great. I think that it's a shame that we can have candidates bought and sold by interests altogether. I'd like to see campaigns run a little more honestly, and I think that we do need some constraints on the large amounts of money pouring into campaigns, whether it be unions or corporations